All right, welcome to season 2 of It Takes a Family, a podcast that helps take parenting from desperation to hope. I'm one of your hosts, Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, Kelly.
I'm one of your hosts, Kelly. Once a week, we highlight experts and other parents like you who have been in the trenches of parenting, bringing hard lessons learned and insights on how to navigate even the most difficult of family circumstances.
So season 2 is about Gen Z and mental health. We're using some research by Dr. Shackelford and the Barna Group around this sort of mental health crisis that we see in America. It's been a really great time so far.
Yeah. And we've broken the season down into 6 vital themes, everything from navigating technology to caring for our own health as parents. And we've been splitting each topic into 2 parts. In part 1, we look at the data and practical tips with Dr. Stephanie Shackelford. And in part 2, we bring in a guest to show us and share with us ideas on how to implement them in our homes.
So today is on returning to faith roots and the value of faith roots. If you listened to last week's episode with Dr. Shackelford, you heard some of the research around that. And today we kind of break that down practically with a repeat guest.
Yes.
Man, back for a second time.
By demand.
Season 1, Season 2. What will happen in Season 3?
Demands.
On the edge of their seat. But Davon Stack, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Davon, just remind us quickly, like your job in the world and a little bit about your family, but like quick.
Yeah.
We don't need a lot.
Not the last time.
Yeah, okay.
So I work in our shepherding department, spiritual care department at Perimeter Church. So that covers everything, the hard things, the great things, just kind of almost like a first responder, if you want to say it that way, when it comes to just whatever people are going through in their families or them individually. Before that, I was in our student ministries with our middle schoolers for 13 and a half years.
Wow.
And so saw a lot of students come through, and it's crazy now that I'm marrying some of them off, which
Right.
is weird. And then what was the next question? Family. My wife, Tara, we've been married for just hit 22 years, the beginning of this month. And I have an 18-year-old son, a 16-year-old son, 12-year-old daughter, and a 9-year-old son.
You're having so much fun.
Most days, yes. No, they are awesome. It's a privilege to be their parent, so to be their dad. So yeah.
All right, got a little, fun warm-up question. We already know about your family. If you want to know more about his 97 cousins, you can go listen to season 1. But I'm curious for you, a person that has shaped your parenting out the most outside of kind of your family of origin. Like who's somebody that has shaped the way that you parent?
I would say my first true discipleship leader when we first got to Perimeter, his name is Monty Starks. Okay. And just watching him, not just hearing him, because he shared a lot of things about parenting. His kids, his youngest is, I think, 23, just got married.
Okay.
But yeah, just kind of walking alongside him as he walked alongside us, just the challenging things he would say to us about loving the Lord and loving our wives well, and of course loving our kids well, things like that. How to discipline your kids, disciplining them with the gospel as the forefront. Making sure you give your kids a hug even when they mess up and make a mistake, things like that. But coming around them, just reminding them, hey, you are a child of God. You are made in the image of God, things like that, and just kind of just having that reminder. So it's not just a discipline and then you walk away, but a discipline and that reminder of who they are. So.
Yeah.
That's great. All right, so you spent a lot of time sort of pastoring what we would call Gen Z, and what themes, and then you have them in your home, and then you have
everywhere.
Their friends also in your home, and you are surrounded, and then you're shepherding now adults who have these Gen Z kids, and you are on the forefront of sort of seeing this and seeing where people really are in this, right? Because oftentimes, in my understanding of your work at Perimeter, is that you get the call when it's really bad or when somebody has attempted a suicide. You're on the cutting edge, right? So What themes have you seen when it comes to Gen Z and faith?
I would say probably the one that first comes to my mind is identity, which is something that it's Gen Z, but it's every generation.
Right.
Just remembering who we are, knowing who we are. I think that's just because that shapes what we believe. Like I have a professor, and she just talks about BTFA. What you believe will affect what you think, will affect how you feel, will affect your actions. And so what you believe is incorrect, everything else will be incorrect as well. And so just if all of us, but yes, Gen Z specifically in this age group, if we can help them to know what to believe correctly, or help them to believe correctly, like sharing with them what the truth is and things like that, but also understanding that they're not going to be perfect in it. I think that's a big one. So identity, but also everyone is searching for something that's, like you were saying earlier, meaningful, and wanting to connect with something that's meaningful and real. And so I think that's another major thing as well. Just making as we model our faith in front of our kids, helping them see it's meaningful to us, but also just making it something that's that they can connect with, making it seem like making it what's the word, attractive.
Yeah.
Not, hey, everything is great and amazing and perfect, but it's attractive because they see that you're in it, that you are. I believe in this, and this is what sustains me, and it can sustain you as well.
Hey, I want to ask a question about the belief, that idea, how belief and everything trickles down from that. What are you seeing with today's youth? What are some of the things that they're believing that you kind of run up against?
Wow. So let's go with we'll go with a middle school girl, if you want to go in that direction. Their identity and what they look like, things like that. Like I believe that I'm not attractive, I'm ugly, whatever like that. So if they believe that, they're thinking that constantly. They compare themselves to their friends as they're walking in the hallways and things like that. And so they're thinking those things, and they feel that. May not be all the time. They might feel sad. They might feel down. They might feel not good enough. Like there's so many different emotions and feelings that come with that. And then what are the actions that they have with that? Their actions are they may not put themselves out there to do things. They might kind of isolate themselves because they don't want to be out in front, whether it be out in front in school or on a stage or whatever it might be. I want to be back and not, there's a lot of gifts that God has given them and abilities and talents and all that stuff that they have, but they might hide those things because they don't want to. They believe that they're not worthy to be seen.
Yeah. Well, and even in that description, one of our early themes, theme one in the whole report was around technology. And so if you, in that example, like not only is a middle school girl walking down the hall and doing that, but almost the more dangerous one is she's sitting in her bedroom and she's swiping through what is like a fake picture of, look, and then all my friends were together. Oh, I don't get invited because I'm not pretty enough. Look, and you begin to kind of build this narrative technologically that's just can be as damaging, and you kind of build. So that's helpful.
How open are these kids to, if they're coming to church or coming to a small group and sharing that? Are they pretty real about that, or is it hard to get them to open up about?
I mean, I think a lot of that starts with just relationships. Some come ready. They're like, some are just like, hey, I got something to share. But even with them, there's still a deeper layer that you still have to drill down into. But yeah, there's a lot of it comes with relationships. Like we have those small groups, and so they trust. So say if you're the leader or you're the leader, they might come in. It might take a couple of weeks. It might take a few months. It might take a year or two for them to truly feel comfortable with, like, here's all my stuff.
Okay.
Here's all the things that I'm thinking and I'm feeling. And so there's that. But I think on the other side of it is, how do we make ourselves available to be trusted? How do we respond, especially as parents? Like if your kid comes in, they share something with you and you lose it, there's a much less chance of them coming back with something else. So how do you respond well in that moment? even if you're telling yourself, don't move, don't twitch your eyes, just smile, you know.
The eyes do not twitch.
Yeah, they might say, Mom, Dad, you okay? You know, but just kind of doing your best to say, Lord, help me to respond well here, so
Yeah.
we can engage in this conversation.
I have a friend who says your eyebrows tell on you sometimes. So when you furrow your eyebrows and you're looking at it, he's like, you say, I'm not mad. Your eyebrows tell otherwise. Like, they tell the truth. So yeah, watch my eyebrows up, eyebrows up.
Thanks, Sandy, for
Yeah, no
that
problem.
visual. I got a visual on that. Kind of going back to, we were talking about meaning and things finding meaning and purpose. Are you seeing that with the kids that are coming to church, that they're hungry for that or looking for that, or what are you seeing?
I feel like it's a mix. I mean, a lot of kids come to church because the parents bring them there.
Right.
And so there's that. But there are a lot of kids that are coming in, and let me stop saying kids, students. They're coming in, and they want to just, if nothing else, they want community. They want to have someone to connect with. And so in that, and it's almost like that safety in numbers, or they're not singled out, so they can kind of share and feel safe in those moments because there's one or two other people that may not be walking through the same thing, but there's something else. So not all the attention's on them. But yeah, I do think a fair amount of students want to be heard. They want to share what's going on, so they're not carrying that burden or that load or whatever it might be on their own.
You talked a little bit about kind of the home being that place, and don't react. Like how do you think parents can create an environment at home that's conducive to spiritual growth? Like what can we, Kelly and I, do in our two families, like to help build kind of this sense of faith in our home?
Man, well, there's a lot of different ways. Obviously you say, hey, let's do could be a Bible study. It could be or just something as simple as you get the verse every day that comes up.
Right.
And you take a look at it and then say, hey, every day we're going to get together and let's just talk about this verse. What does it mean for us today as a family? That could be something. And I mean, honestly, this is not something that, this is something that Tara and I have said, hey, we need to start doing, and I need to do a better job of leading. And even as I'm talking to you right now, I was like, that would be so simple to just say, hey, let's just do this.
Yeah.
And I want to say, well, the first thing in the morning, kids are getting up at different times in the
Yeah.
morning. So it's like, find the time of the day to make it happen.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's.
I think you're so right too, because I think, and sometimes in our mind we think it has to be this grandiose thing,
Right,
and it's
right.
like, no, why don't we just all have a verse for the day and
Yeah.
put it on the refrigerator or put it on the chalkboard?
Right,
and
right.
how did this speak to you? Something.
I don't know if you guys have or have read New Morning Mercies. There's a student version of that or teen version of that,
Okay.
which is good, and it's
Yeah.
this exact same thing, just slightly different language.
Yeah.
So that's something you could, as a parent, could read, and your kids could read, and you come together. Hey, what do we read today?
Right. Right.
Underline what stood out to you. Maybe read it again, then underline what more stood out to you. Something to that effect, and just ask, hey, why'd you underline that twice?
Right.
Just things. So those types of things. I think praying together and just saying, hey, what do we want to pray for as a family this month? And just kind of just say, wow, we saw God do something. Like that was something we did two Christmases ago. We were doing the Advent season and everything. Just said, who's someone that we can be praying for? And it was crazy how God worked it. Our kids, they shared the name of one of their friends. And then within 2 days, each kid said, yeah, this kid did this, and I saw the Lord do this, and the Lord used me to have a conversation here, here, and here. And we're like, God doesn't work that way all the time. We didn't say this to them, and it doesn't work that way all the time. That would be awesome.
But that was really cool.
But it was meaningful for them, for all of us as a family to see God say, I've been wanting this to happen for a long time, and I just want to kind of show off here in this moment.
Yeah.
And I think another thing is serving together. I think for students, the rubber hits the road in their faith the most when they're giving, when they're serving. Because it's not like I know all these things about Jesus, but now I get to express those same things. And so as we're giving, we're receiving as well. So
So I don't know if you know this about teenagers, but sometimes they don't want to go to church. Yeah, some kids. I'm certain never your children or my children or any of them, but
Never heard
no.
of
But
that.
I mean, as kids grow, I think sometimes, particularly those who have grown up in the church, it becomes kind of a little bit, yeah, okay, we'll go to church. Like there can be these kids in a family, and sometimes two very different kids in the same family who like, hey, I'm out on this church thing. Sort of what encouragement would you give to the parents who have a child who is not, who they desire that and is not walking that, or who they've sort of sowed gospel seeds, if you will, and they're just not seeing any fruit from that? What encouragement would you give to them?
Man, I think so I've had a lot of conversations with adults that are in their 20s and 30s that have said, I didn't like going to church as a kid. And then something happened like when they had their own kids.
Yeah.
Or something happened in their life, and just that habit of going to church brought them back to church.
Right.
Or that habit of going to church and then looking at their kids and saying, I can't do this on my own. So let me get them in church. Let me do something that will help. I can do to help raise them well. And so that's one. But I think just the habit of going to church is helpful, being faithful to do that.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Well, Dr. Shackelford's research shows that it's like this crazy increase in mental health outcomes when they just go to church.
Yeah, that one activity alone.
That one
Yeah.
activity is like the greatest indicator of. I've botched her research, so I'm going to stop. But it's really good. You should read the paper because it says it the right way.
So yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
I would say yeah. So I think making that a habit of what you guys do as a family is one, but also been taking some time to just talk about what you heard.
Yeah.
Because I think that's key. And I had the privilege of speaking to some students a couple weeks ago. And one of the things that I was reminded of, and I shared with them about being in God's Word. I was like, I don't remember the verse, but it's in Isaiah. We'll start there. I think it's 55.
Give me a little context.
Yeah.
We might get there
Yeah.
together.
So he talks about his word will not return void.
Yeah.
But it will do what he sets it out to do. It will accomplish. So I'm like, if we sit under the teaching of God's Word, He's sending it out. It's going to accomplish what He sets it out to do. And so I'm just like, just have them sit under the teaching. Just have them hear.
Yeah.
Just be washed by the Word.
Yeah.
It's huge. And then being in community, you walk in, like if they walked into church and there were 10 people in there, and sorry, there's some churches where there are only 10 people. If you walk into a room and it's a group of people that are in there and it's not just you by yourself, that's encouraging. Say, I'm not doing this alone. And so just having that community of believers, I think is huge. I think bringing them to church and making that a habit is a big one. Serving, all these different things are huge.
I think kind of along those lines, Andy, I think about you and just as you're ministering to the kids here at Eagle Ranch. And I mean, you just get kids with such a wide view of faith.
Right.
So some are completely, I remember the one little girl that was like, you are not going to convert me or whatever she said to you. And, or, and then you have other people really leaning in.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I love about Andy and Davon, I think I would guess you're the same way, is he just wants to hear, well, what do you think? What do you believe? And just start a conversation, genuinely, not to try to trick them, but just like, I'm interested in you as a person, and what do you think? And just,
Well, and one of the
it's a process. It's not a one and done, for sure.
Like in student ministry, one of the advantages that the student minister has that is not true of the parent is like, we don't have the same expectations or like
vested interest in.
Yeah. We care deeply for this child, but different than their parents.
Yeah.
And so I get a chance to sort of ask that question. You've done this a million times, to ask this question real open-handed. All right, let's walk through it. And that's part of the beauty in my mind of bringing my kids to church and having them in a discipleship group with a different adult is that they get a chance to ask questions that maybe I like to think I've create this great environment for them to ask questions, and they do. But maybe they've got another question that they need to try out on this adult leader that they've got first. They've got other people that are kind of speaking into that same reality, but just that don't have the same thing.
Like Davon is cool and you're not.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
At home, it's the same.
right.
I'm like, find somebody else. It's not me anymore.
Right.
Dang, he was right.
And I can take your phone and Davon can't, right? Like, that's also the other, like, I have the consequence power there. We didn't talk about this beforehand, but as you're talking, I'm sort of thinking through a little bit, like, we desire for the kids to have these faith roots. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about the importance of parents modeling that behavior that they desire to see in their kids. Yeah. Like, what's the importance for you and Tara, or for families that you work with, as you hope to model this and hope for your kids to get this? What's the importance of that?
I think, again, it makes it real. If they see that you are, our kids are always watching us, and they're always listening to what's going on. And I'll say it that way because they're not always listening to us. So like, are you listening?
No, but I'm watching.
Right, exactly. And yes, they may not be paying attention to what we're doing, but then they watch how we respond when we get frustrated. They watch how we respond to the great and the hard things, and just the daily things of life. Like for our kids, I remember my dad every single day. Like when I was in middle school, I was not the first one up. My bus showed up at like 6:15 in the morning. Mm-hmm. But as I'm walking out the house, my dad is sitting with his little devotional book every single day. Mm-hmm. And so I know as I got older, I was like, I got to make sure I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I need to do it, and I'll freely admit, I need to do a better job of doing that with my kids. And so how do I just post myself up somewhere and just be reading, being in God's word? Because it's not, I'm learning that it's not just when everything just falls to pieces, what are they, they're watching us, of course. And when things are amazing and we're rejoicing about something, but in just the day to day, there's so much more of life doing this than all the ups and the downs.
Well, and I want to just maybe ask the question too, for the parent that maybe they don't have a strong faith background. Maybe they're also thinking, gosh, I probably need, maybe we should, as a family, get into church. Mm-hmm. So, I've been in that position where I didn't really have anything to model for my kids. Do you have any, that's super intimidating, this idea of we're going to all go to church together and I don't even know how I feel about it. Yeah. You have any thoughts about that?
One of the things that comes to mind, I don't know how helpful this will be, but I remember when I first got into student ministry at Perimeter, my boss had us read a book, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it was about student ministry. And this dad is at least 15 years old now at this point. But basically, for a student to still be walking with the Lord in college, they had 5 people involved in their lives across that time. And so for me, I was like, okay, God, if I'm here, let me be one of those 5. And now that, as I got older and my kids started getting older, I was like, Lord, I'm 1, Tara's 2, but might even just be considered just 1 when our kids look at us. Right. So Lord,
we know Tara's kind of carrying the weight. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Her back hurts. It's like 75-25.
We're just thinking, just praying, Lord, can you bring into my kids' life, to my students' life, to be one of those people? And so coming to church can help with that. Talking to someone, just saying, hey, where's your youth group? Where are they involved? Things like that, and getting your kids involved there, because there you might have a youth leader or multiple youth leaders that are there that can help alongside that. So they're speaking the same language that you want to speak. Maybe not that you are speaking yet, that you want to speak.
Well, and I think too, even just praying as a parent, like, Lord, bring some people into my life to help model this for me.
And that was my next thing. It's like when you get into that community, you're growing along the way. And so that helps you model what it looks like. You find someone like, I think about Monty, having someone that's intentionally pouring into me so I can do the same with my kids.
I remember y'all know, like, part of my story is I didn't come to know the Lord till I was 40. And at the time, I was 9 months pregnant with my daughter. And so I can remember when she was like 3, 4, 5 years old, I was still a relatively new believer. And I really stressed out about, like, I'm not going to know how to raise her up, And my pastor actually suggested to me, he's like, why don't you teach the little kids? Like, teach them the Bible lessons. And I'm like, I don't know the Bible lessons. But it was a sweet way for me.
That's how you
like,
learn.
I was learning with my daughter,
Yeah.
like, hey, did you know about this lion's den thing? And like, I would even be saying to my daughter, like, do you think that really happened? Or was that like a metaphor? And of course, she's like, what's a metaphor? And, but it was like we grew together. And it's back to that, you don't have to be a Bible scholar. You just have to be like curious yourself. And even I would even think for the person, maybe like I had that hunger at that point because things were so not great. But even if you don't have that hunger, just to pray for the hunger, like, Lord, give me the hunger to want to know your word and to be a better parent, So you could just start with really small things.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
I mean, part of the whole of this season is, if I'm thinking about the different themes that Stephanie has written about and we've kind of pulled together, one of them is strengthening the guardians and supporting the guardians. So, like, yes, the parent strength and modeling is really important. We want to sort of have this place that we are able to genuinely give
keeping it
sort
real.
of a picture of the gospel in our own homes. And I think Kelly's talked about this a little bit on this, and I think it's important for us. Like, a lot of the folks that are listening, in my mind, are feeling hopeless, and they're struggling in their parenting. We want it to be a place, at least, where parents who are struggling would listen. So give us just a minute in terms of, like, for the parent who feels hopeless or who even feels like, this is too hard, I don't know how to model faith and all this. Like, how can we rest in the hope of the gospel in these moments where we just kind of feel hopeless in and of ourselves?
Yeah. I want to just remind us as parents that the Lord is working in us. Even when it doesn't feel like he's working in us, doesn't feel like he's working through us, he's doing that.
Yeah.
And he promises, it's he who began a good work in you
Yes.
will be faithful to complete it until the day of Christ Jesus. So if he has made that promise to us, that's one. The other one is what the pastor said yesterday at church, talking about Romans 1:16 through 17. I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it's the power of God for salvation for all who believe. And he's talked about that power that's there. He said, look at Paul's life, what he used to do. He used to murder Christians and chase them down, all the imprison them. He was doing all those things. And now he's saying, I, Paul, a servant of Christ. So he went from murdering Christians to now he's a servant of Jesus Christ. So God has done some powerful things in his life to get him to this point.
Yeah.
And God is doing the same thing in us. We weren't his. We were running away from God, whatever it might be. And then we found who he was, and he began to shift us and change us. And now we're at a point where, like, God, I want this for my kids. I want something new for them. I want you in their lives. He's doing a work. He's using you. He's got you. He's giving you strength for every single day to do this, even though it can be the hardest times of your life. And so our hope is not in us. Our hope is not in our kids. Our hope is in the work that we know that God can do. If he's doing it in us, even though it's incrementally, if he's doing it in us, he will and he can do it in them as well. So the hope that we hold on to with, fingers, knuckles, not mine, white knuckling it. And we're holding on for everything we've got. Holding on to that hope that he is in charge. He is sovereign. He knows us and he knows our kids. And he knows what we're walking through and that we desperately need him. And so to rest in that, like, God, I need you today in this moment by moment by moment to help me to live for you so I can model this for my children.
Come on, man. That was beautiful. And the truth of this whole report is that there is this sense amongst Gen Z where they desire this at some level, that they're kind of disillusioned with that which is fake, and they sense this power that's at work. And as the church, if we can point them to this work of God that is more immeasurably great than we can even ask or imagine, this power at work within us, like that, there's a beauty to that when they can see and experience that truth. And
Yes.
so, man, thank you so much for helping point us to the truth of the gospel and the way that it transforms our heart. And yeah, there are just those days as a parent where, like, I don't have the power. Like, I need your power. They are all the days, but there are days that feel
some more than others.
that feel especially that way. So, Davon, thank you so much, man. This has been so wonderful. Again, we're grateful for you, your work, your ministry, the way you've encouraged this podcast. So thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Hey, and just want everyone to remember this is a two-part conversation. So next week we'll be back with Dr. Stephanie Shackelford sharing some of the research and data. But yeah, we so appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
Absolutely. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review on Apple or Spotify. It's the best way to help other parents find this community.
Yes. And as always, connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. We want to hear on how you are implementing these practical ideas in your own family.
All right. Thanks again for listening. Davon, thanks again for being here. Kelly, wonderful as always. Have a great week.